Okay, so I will address your main question regarding the use of a priority queue, all right? And I assume that you have no concerns about other aspects of the question. And moving forward, the type of the song is irrelevant in this context, okay? The song does not matter, all right? And now, in our scenario, we have artist, okay? And each artist has an associated frequency. Now moving forward, I will be calling frequency as budget just for convenience. Okay, let us consider the two budget, the budget for A or the frequency of A and the budget for B or the frequency of B. We see here that the budget of B is 2 and the budget of A is 3. Which is the lower budget? The lower budget is B because it has a value of 2. Which is the higher budget? The higher budget is A because it has a value of 3, correct? Now, if we start utilizing the lower value budget, in this case B, then there is a risk that we might deplete it before higher value budget A, alright? So, we might end up with leftover portions of higher value budget A. What I mean is, if we start with a lower budget B and if we start to fill it up, we might end up with a chunk, with a remaining chunk of the higher value budget, and that might result in repetition. Okay, so to avoid this, our strategy should be to initially reduce the higher value budget, or in other words, instead of starting with the lower value budget, we will start with higher value budget. What I mean by start? What I mean by start is we will utilize or we will place the higher value budget first, followed by lower value budget. Okay, just remember this in mind. We have to place the frequency with the higher value followed by the frequency with the lower value because we want to avoid repetition, and repetition can uh, occur if we start with a budget or frequency of a lower value. All right, now let us look at this hash map. Okay, I hope what I explained here was clear as to why we are using higher value budget first followed by lower value budget, just so that we can avoid a repetition. Okay, I mean, you can check it here. If we start with B, which is a lower value budget, then there might be a case that there will be a case definitely that we will end up with repetition like B A B A A, correct? A is repeating in the end twice, but if we start with A, then there won't be any repetition because we will get this sequence A B A B A B, correct? Now let us look at this hash map. If we decrease the value associated with budget A, because we have used this budget by 1, so let us decrease this value by 1. Now its value will be 2. Okay, in others, now what we have done here, we reduced the highest value budget by 1. Okay, why? Because we utilized it. Now in the next iteration, we need to find the highest budget, okay, which involves a linear search resulting in a time complexity of order of n. All right, and I guess this should be obvious because every time I'm utilizing a highest budget here, we are reducing its value and the highest budget will change, and in order to find the highest budget once again, we have to scan or we have to perform a linear search on this array to find the current highest budget or the current value that has a or the current artist that has a higher budget. Okay, and it can be done only using linear search, correct? Now uh, this will yield me with a time complexity of order of n, correct? So but if we try to look at priority queue, this is a priority queue. Okay, and this is also priority queue. I have arranged it for explanation and I will tell you why. On the other hand, if we are looking at this priority queue, okay, or if we are using this priority queue, then one thing is for certain that every time we need a value or the budget or the frequency with the highest value, it will yield me that in order of log n time, correct? Assuming that every turn we are repeating this queue, so yeah, it will give me that in order of log n, and in this case we were fetching it in order of n, correct? in the worst case, for every n, for every possible n, HashMap will, the time complexity of HashMap will be order of n square, but the time complexity of priority queue, it will be n log n, correct? Quadratic versus linear logarithm, right? Also, one of the other reason for using priority queue is that it helps us to prevent collision. Okay, like if you will go and look at my code, it is mentioned in the first if condition in the code. Okay, that addresses the collision aspects, and the else statement demonstrates how to avoid them. Okay, so that is why we are using priority queue in this question, because it helps us with scanning the, it helps us to scan the highest frequency element in a much faster manner than the hash map, and secondly it also helps us to prevent collision. Now I must reiterate once again that I'm emphasizing a lot on collision, and I'm quite certain that if you look at the code, the first if statement, okay, then there you will see what I mean by collision and how we are handling it. Basically what I mean by collision is that we have to make sure that there is no repetition. Okay, a this is a repetition, and collision helps us to detect that there is no repetition.